There's a lot of reasons why people fail at language learning. Today, we're going to dig into 3 of the big ones that I see time and time again. First up, I do want to clarify, when I say fail, generally, this is a funny word, right? So fail isn't really fail unless you don't learn from it, right? But when I say fail here, what I'm talking about is when people give up completely, when they stop learning languages, when they decide, right, that's it, I'm done, I am out, I can't do this, I'm not a language person. That's what we're talking about here. And the first of those big reasons is that people invest in the wrong things. So perhaps you're a bit of a language magpie. I can relate, I'll be honest, where maybe, you walk past the bookshop and actually you don't walk past because you see something that catches your eye. You think, I'll just have a little look inside and see what they've got, if there's anything new or a new language in there perhaps that I can have a little go at. So I get it, I really get it. But when you are investing in the wrong things, when you are perhaps acquiring too much of language-specific resources that maybe are outdated or aren't quite right for you, for your circumstance, then you're not going to be advancing. You're going to then feel that you are the problem and you're going to end up failing and giving up on that language. You can learn a language with any resource, but you can only do that if you know how to use that resource, if you know how to learn languages. And that's really the best way to avoid this, is to invest in something that is how to learn a language based. That's what Language Life is. That's why it exists, because I could see that there was this need for more of that, for more of the how to learn a language. And what's really cool about this is that when you invest in Language Life, yes, you get the self-study library and the support and the regular practice, but that's just the part of it. The thing that you really get is that long-term lasting impact, that influence that it's going to have on your language learning for life, hence the name Language Life, because you'll be learning these skills that you can apply again and again and again. And that same principle is something that you can apply for any language related purchase. So when you're thinking do I want this? Do I need this? But also, what is the long-term impact of this? How will this actually get me closer to my goal, whether that's being fluent or moving abroad or learning to raise your kid bilingually, whatever it might be, will this get you closer to that? And if the answer is yes, then you can clearly see, okay, this is going to be a worthy investment. If the answer is no, or you can't really decide, then that's generally an indicator that you can live without it for now. You'll be fine. The second thing is really getting stuck in a messy mindset. So there are lots of ways this could show up. It could be that you just have this very fixed mindset of what it means to learn a language or how good you are at learning languages. That's a really big one, because people think that they can't do it or they're not a language person, and that just really holds people back for far too long, far too often. And there's just when you have these kind of things, these thoughts just milling about, even if they're not really very prominent, or it doesn't feel like they're very prominent, they're just there, and they're just sat there all the time, just reminding you that, oh yeah, but you could try, but you're not a language person. So how do we avoid this? How do we move past getting stuck in this messy mindset? What I think is really interesting here is that the default assumption is that when you learn more, when you get better at the language, this stuff will go away. It doesn't. If you think as a beginner, I don't know enough vocab, oh my goodness, it's going to be easy when I know enough vocab, you're going to probably think that same way when you're more advanced, when you do know more vocab, because it's just this thing that you've decided for yourself, and so it will always be a constant. Even once you learn more vocab, there's always going to be more vocab to learn, so you're still going to feel that if you feel it now. So it's not necessarily just about getting better at the language and this stuff clearing itself out. The thing that really makes a difference here, that all successful language learners do and know how to do really well, is become a neutral observer. So what do I mean by this? Becoming a neutral observer isn't just about ignoring or avoiding or attempting to quash down those messy mindset thoughts. It's about actually just recognizing everything, knowing it's all valid, knowing it all exists, but seeing it all as neutral, rather than this is a positive mindset, this is a negative mindset, this is a positive feeling, this is a negative feeling. we observe it all as neutral. We sort of separate ourselves from our feelings about our language to be able to do that. It's kind of like, it sounds really creepy, but the way I describe this, it's almost like you sort of float up above yourself and you watch, literally observe from above, like what's going on in your brain right now, what are you doing right now, what's working, what's not working. And that way there's like this separation. And that's one of the, I know it sounds really kind of wishy-washy and a bit like hippie, but that's like the best way I can describe it, is to have that level of separation there so that it becomes easier to observe your language learning, observe your sort of messy mindset as it is in a more neutral stance, so that you can be like, okay, I'm feeling that way again. Let me work through the steps that I've created that I know are going to help me get better in that state. If we take the example of shame here, then we know that, like, yeah, shame kind of sucks. It doesn't feel good when you feel ashamed. It's not like generally a very productive emotion or state to feel when you want to be learning a language and you want to be doing it successfully. If you're feeling ashamed of something about that, it's kind of going to hold you back, right? But if you become a neutral observer and you can identify the source of that shame, you can recognize where it's coming from, maybe why as well, why you're feeling that way, that can really help. So maybe that it's that you notice that you're feeling a bit of shame because of some feedback you got from your teacher. Maybe the way that a teacher that you've been working with gives feedback kind of makes you feel embarrassed. You know, I've had this a lot where you will go back for the next lesson with a teacher and they'll say, oh, how have you done? What practice have you done in between? And when you have nothing, it's like, well, nothing. I was hoping to come here and and revive what's happened between last time and this time. It's instantly, you've started that lesson in this point of shame, right? When they say to you, what have you done? How, you know, what have you learned since last time? And it's how they then respond to that really can change the direction. So sometimes I've had teachers that go, oh, I get it, no problem, busy week, let's recap and see where we're at. And sometimes people say, oh, okay, well, we are going to have to waste some time reviewing what we've done. And like, I don't see that as a waste of time. So then there's this sort of conflict between the way that I want to do things and the way that teacher wants to do things, and that doesn't work. So I can either live with that shame, I can keep rolling up to those lessons and feeling that every single time we start the lesson, oh, what practice have you done? Nothing. Oh, I guess we have to waste time. Like, oh, that's obviously not going to be great. Or I can say, okay, you know what? This teacher's great, but they're not great for me. They're not making me feel great, because I've been able to identify that at the start of the lesson is the source of the shame. Do you see where I'm coming from? So when you can do this, when you can work through this mindset stuff with this neutral observer stance, it really, really, really helps to make things easier and to make it less likely that you're actually going to fail and give up and stop completely. And the way that I teach you how to do this in Language Life is with this idea of becoming curious, not critical. So we're just changing the way that we think about things. So we're still noticing things, like we're noticing, oh, I feel shame for not having practiced since the last lesson. And then rather than going, that means I'm a terrible language learner, we go, I'm curious about that. Why do I feel shame? Where is that coming from? What's the source of that? You know, why do I think that's necessarily a bad thing? So you're just being curious with that line of inquiry rather than critically going, well, that's rubbish, you suck, you know? So there's a real difference in the way that you approach that. And number 3 is when language learning remains a mystery. So it's really easy to find a list of vocab to learn. What's a little bit harder is figuring out how to actually get those words from the paper into your head. Figuring out how to learn them. That's the bit that is a little bit harder to find, a little bit harder to do. It takes more work, right? It's all well and good, you know, seeing the book on the shelf, seeing the app available in the App Store, thinking, okay, cool, there's an app for this language, I'm going to learn it. And then you download it or you buy it and it sits on your shelf or it sits on your phone and you never open it. That's the easy bit is done. The hard bit is making it actually happen. And when the language learning bit of, well, how do I do this? How do I actually remember words? How do I speak confidently? And how do I learn more quickly? all of those questions that you have, if that remains a mystery, then you're way more likely to fail than if you actually take a moment to answer that stuff. And, you know, we talked about this with the first one, the idea of investing in the wrong things versus investing in the right things, and the right thing to invest in typically being something that is going to help you with the how-to of language learning. And this is the same point here. Language learning doesn't remain a mystery when you understand that how-to. So how can we avoid this? How can we make sure that language learning doesn't stay a mystery and actually become something that we understand? Luckily, you don't have to go off and do a big degree and spend lots of years learning about this stuff. You can work with someone like me in Language Life, and the way that we have this structured is that it's bite-sized. The video lessons are short and sweet, the workbooks are there, offline availability, the question bank is ready for you to listen on the go. Everything is so flexible and so portable so that you don't have to feel like you need to just sit down and like brain dump everything in one go. Like, it's there for you as and when you need it, so you can pick and choose the important bits for you. And that's the best way to do this, because if you do try and like get everything that you need to know about how to learn a language in at once, it isn't going to stick. And that's one of the reasons why I always say that when people are working with me in Language Life, keep learning languages at the same time, right? Don't put that on pause. Keep doing it, because you'll be learning the languages and you'll have these questions come up, like, how do I actually learn these words now? And then you can ask that in Language Life. You can check out the self-study library, the vocabulary chapter. You can find the bits that are relevant for you and figure out, okay, yeah, I've got it now. I understand how I'm actually going to learn these words. So it's such a better way to do this, to make language learning less of a mystery without needing to like kind of take it all on in one go for yourself. If that sounds good, join me in Language Life. We can make this happen. We can take language learning from being this mysterious, how do I do this thing, into something that is clear and easy and just so much quicker than before. That's the kind of stuff that we do together in Language Life. We have the self-study library that is, as it says on the tin, the self-study bit. So there's video lessons, there's workbooks, like I say, everything bite-sized, available on the go, really, really easy to take in. We have the support and feedback, all direct from me. So there's things like the monthly feedback, monthly review and feedback on your process. We have one-on-one check-ins at the end of each of those chapters in the self-study library, so you get that extra one-on-one time just to confirm anything that you might have been wondering. And there's the private podcast feed as well for Q&A as well, so that's there too in the support element. And then we have regular practice, because it's all well and good learning the how to learn a language, getting the answers on the things that you haven't quite got fully cleared up, but then we need a link, right? We need to connect it to your languages, and that's what the regular practice is, which is all about connecting everything that you learn in Language Life to your language learning. So we have the weekly prompts. Every single week there's 7 new prompts. There's enough to do one daily, or there's the chance to go deeper with one as well. There's further explanations and suggestions for one of those every single week. It's really everything that you need in one package, in one program, to help you learn languages better, so that you know you're investing in the right thing. You're not going to fail with this, because you've got someone by your side the whole way through to make sure that things are working as they should. So yes, I would love to work with you in Language Life. You can join. The link is in the description. And if you have any questions, let me know. I think this is the bit of the video where I'm supposed to say subscribe and follow and like and tell a friend and comment and share and do all of the things that tells the internet that you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much if you take a moment to do that. And I'll see you very soon. All right. Thank you. Bye.